The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Our viewers, I salute you all. My name is Tumuhimbise. We are streaming live from the Digital House, and that's on our social media handles where we stream live on the YouTube channel under the name The Alternative Digitalk, then Digitalk TV on Facebook, and also Digitalk, Alternative Digitalk, another page on Facebook. So it depends on which page that makes you convenient to access. You can find us on all those three social media handles. As always, every Monday we have the Hotline Show, where we feature a panel of 3 ORAs, 2 of whom are permanent panelists, and also other days we ensure that we have another person to challenge the other 2. Unfortunately for today, we happen to miss out Mr. Joseph Ochino, who had gone to attend Right Honorable Raila Odinga's burial and couldn't make it in time. Fortunately, also we have the one and only retired Major Awich Pollar, who is a director at the NRM Secretariat in charge of external affairs. We are glad he doesn't operate from external, he operates from within. So we have him here, who always pays too much time to come by and also answer the tough questions and or brief the public about the progress of the government he serves. The extreme end of my left is Council Yvonne Mpambara. I do not know whether she has stopped crying for having missed out to appear on the ballot paper, but of course perhaps that also gives her room to plan better come next time, and or more determined to ensure that come 2031, who knows, she could appear on the ballot. Maybe the issues she raised will have been solved, who knows. The reason for which we are here on this Monday from now to 9, want to interrogate in particular, this time around we are beginning with the NRM presidential candidate, His Excellency retired General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tibuhaburwa, where him and the team considered to, of all themes, to choose protecting the gains. This, however, also reminds me and those of us that were there in 2005, where Honorable Jabeli Bidandisadi recorded an audio message back in the day, and he would say in Uganda, "Oyinake wekoledde, oyina abaana." I think I know you know that message, to loosely to mean, is there something you have achieved during this time? Do you have children? Do you have business? To mean, to some people, it meant if you indeed have achieved such, you had better vote NRM. That was the first election after your capture of power under multi-party dispensation. And that was the message. So we want to think and also believe, is that now another replica? Because literally when you look at protecting the gains, it is as if that's the very message. So we are here to interrogate that and dive deeper depending on what lenses each of the panelists is wearing. I will ask you to say hello this time around, just hello. And then she also says hello. We'll come back and ask you why we are here, sir.
Hello.
Have you had counsel? That's him. Say hello
So
to
should we also stop at just hello? Good evening, our viewers. Hello to everyone who has tuned in today. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you.
To discuss what we're going to discuss today.
Okay, thank you. So, Honorable Awich, before we dive into our topical discussion, if you don't mind, the last time we met here, it's 7 days down the road. As for her, it's I think 2 or 3 or so weeks. You will give us a summary of how your week has been, and of course, not forgetting to also, if you have any message in regards to the loss of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. But summarize for us how your week has been. At a personal level, government or NRM level, both national and international.
My week has been quite uneventful. It was not crowded with events. It was more routine. And as they said, no news is good news. Because bad news travels faster than good news. So if you don't have news, please stay calm. Because if you have a cousin in Kisoro, her place, you come from Kisoro? Kawale. If you have a cousin in Kawale and you're in Kampala, and you take a whole year from hearing from her or him, don't panic. Things are good. Because if there was a problem, she would have rang you like yesterday. So, to have a very uneventful week means things are good. Except for the external news, of course, for the death of Raila, a Pan-Africanist, who for a long time people thought maybe wasn't in support of NRM, or NRM didn't like him. But as they said, whatever happened, all is well that ends well. We ended well with him. Because if you're coming with a brother from Mbarara and you're eating muchomo up to Lukaya, you're very happy. And after Lukaya, you quarrel up to Kampala. Then you have spoiled everything. You are better quarreling from Kampala, from Mbarara
to Lukaya,
and
then eat your muchomo.
You eat muchomo up to Kampala. Because the wellness of something is judged by its ending. So in the case of Raila, lately when he had shown interest, and his country had shown interest of having him as chair of African Union, Museveni vehemently supported him. We even had prospective candidates, very high-powered delegates, candidates like Amama or anybody else, but Museveni said, no, we shall support Raila. And he physically campaigned. The speeches were online. What he did, he said in AU. So, he ended up very happy that we really supported him for AU, even if he lost it. So it was bad that we lost that Now, we also had a week where we had our candidate following up everything properly, but campaign after district after the other, because Election Commission has given us every candidate one rally per district. So for all the 8 candidates. So we have been running our rallies. Our candidate has been running it very smoothly. And of course, you can still see that to some propaganda. While our candidate is busy doing his rally, some people were busy with propaganda that is not well, is sick, is what, and all that, with some ugly circulation of things. But that talks about the mindset and the capacity and the thinking of our opponents. For us, we are into giving our message to the voters, and we are not bothered about which propaganda to send where. We are not sending any propaganda. We are completely using revolutionary methods of work where we identify the problems and look for solutions. So my week was quite uneventful, and I have no regret for that, because as I said, no news is good news.
Okay, if I goes to Councillor Yvonne Mpambara, there are 2 things I have highlighted, in fact 3 that I have highlighted to that regard. First of all, you said the propaganda does not, you are not bothered, but I saw your commander-in-chief seemingly annoyed, and he said the police or investigators should, security actually, should do something about the propaganda of announcing him dead, but rather sick. If I may ask you, Honorable Awich, would that bother you if someone, because if you know you are alive, why would people bother that people said you are sick? Because it's like any other human being. So isn't falling sick part of life? And also saying that someone is sick, would you put your attention onto such propaganda, as you call it? Because what is factual, he's okay and he's seen in rallies. That is what is factual. What is not factual is that he is admitted. So why would one bother?
You see, a crime, and by the way, you make mention of my colleague as counsel, and you choose not to make mention of me as counsel.
Sir, I want to say, viewers, amidst me is senior counsel, a former judge in the UN, Counsel Awich Pollar. Proceed, sir.
Yeah, because if you want to make it uniform, if you choose to introduce her as counsel, then you should introduce me too.
And when I introduce you as a retired major, then I say a civilian general.
she's not a retired anything.
Civilian general.
She's not. Because you see, the innuendos there is that you make it look like NRM is represented
by an ordinary person,
a low professional caliber person, or a non-professional.
Yet he's a former judge.
And we take that serious because our opponents are very brutal on us.
Yeah.
Do you know that they have even often said that in NRM, if you join with your brain, you leave it at a gate, then you enter.
Why do you think they say such?
Just because of their bad manners. Their bad manners. So, and if you now say you don't reveal I'm a counsel, they can even say
that you also left your brain.
Even leaving home, I had nothing. Even leaving home, I had nothing. At least let them know where they left it. So I was saying, a crime, like counsel knows, is not what you have done. A crime is what you have thought. Although there's a mens rea and actus reus, in that by the time you do a crime, you have already known it is a crime. And that is why it is said ignorance of law is no defense, because by the time you're pulling somebody's mango, you look left, you look right. If somebody is not seeing you, then you pull the mango. Meaning there's somebody inside you telling you pulling that mango is not a correct thing.
That inner you.
So, but if you do it without knowing, then it is not a crime. For example, we share boundaries with Karamojong. For a long time, Karamojong knew cassava is not planted. They would say it grew by itself. Now, if arrested the Karamojong and took him to court and he has uprooted cassava, and the court really believed this man didn't know, he has no, that is planted.
The issue is now the burden is proving
except
that he didn't know.
if the prosecution proves that this man was cutting sugar cane in Kakira. He cut sugar cane for 2 years. He used to move around Kakira. He saw people planting cassava. He can't deceive this court that cassava is not planted. So back to the other point is, if this person didn't know it is a crime, then let him come openly and say, I'm the one who posted Museveni is dead. But the fact that he hides, it means even inside him, by the time he was doing, he knew it is a crime.
Does that mean
and
also
all that matters now is for the prosecution to check which section. Immediately you know that his mens rea was there, leave it now to
prosecution
to check which section will fit. So you are now asking, so those people commit crimes and they know, and that's why they do it in hiding. Now about why the victim, in this case Museveni, victim
who is healthy
bothered.
and strong, why would he bother?
About why a victim, you know, there are sometimes a crime is committed to you and it doesn't bother you, but it bothers people around you. It offends people around you to the extent that you may have to restrain your people. Please don't mind, don't mind. So it offends some people even more than you. And it brings disharmony in society. Even if it is at a family societal level, a village societal level, or a clan societal level, it brings disharmony and unhappiness. It is not good. And that is why those who do it in hiding. If it was good, then why doesn't he come out and say, oh, colleagues, I'm the one who posted. It's fine, I posted that Museveni is dead. He can't. Why? It's like the person who is stealing mango who looks left and right to see if somebody is not seeing him, and he grabs it. Because there's somebody inside you telling you, no man, I was the legal team of Ongwen, Dominic. In at The Hague. I was on the legal team at The Hague. We argued ourselves silly. Why? We argued that Ongwen was captured when he was young. He grew up in the rebel. So he did not have the capacity, the cognitive capacity. The court ruled at the world level that as long as you're a human being, somebody's inside you which tells you right and wrong. They said, we are not worried about Ongwen's killing below 18. Even if he killed 1 million people, if he was below 18, that one, we are not bothered. But immediately it's 18, you can't convince us that he's such a monkey who doesn't have something inside him to tell him wrong and right. So these people who post Museveni, the guilt is inside them. They do it knowing they are hurting. They do it with the intention to hurt.
So is he that fragile that he can simply be hurt by such a post?
He's not that fragile, but I tell you that you can be hurt even if you try to resist. The hurt injures people around you, and you may be forced to act.
Finally, on that very concern, Honorable Awich Pollar, do you ever wonder why someone out there would gladly post and say the president is sick or admitted? That reason for which
the question is, do I ever wonder?
Yeah, like why would someone wake up in the morning and post that so and so is sick?
I don't wonder. Maybe you want to ask me why I don't wonder.
Okay, you can. You're still dealing with the lawyers. Okay, tell the public why you don't wonder.
Why I don't wonder is that it is not one reason. Some of them, it's the political interest that he wants to access, or his persons should access political positions. So he feels that the presence of Museveni bars his person from accessing political interest. And therefore, of course, political interest with economic interest thereafter. And therefore, is annoyed with it. But some also have low cognitive ability, ignorance, so to say, such that even if somebody in a democratic processes does not allow you to continue to advance your political interest, you really don't need to do that. But with a poor cognitive ability, he utters such things.
Okay. This is the real final onto this very issue. Do you also realize on social media and the entire media stories and also in campaigns that there is propaganda which cuts across and blackmail.
Propaganda
And
in
blackmail.
bad faith, which is intended to hurt people, is there, but is not with us.
I will
It is
fine.
not with us.
I will
It is
now.
with the other opponent.
I will refer you
We
to.
don't do that.
I will refer you to the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament when he was in Busoga, and he gladly said that Honourable Bobi Wine is literally supported by the homosexuals. And this is not news. So many in your government, very many people have come to say that young man, you know, is an agent of the West. He's a pro homosexuality, and one wonders on whether, if you can also be hurt by someone posting that the president is admitted, and you don't want to also take it on that also Bobi Wine's family is equally hurt, when some people in government also say that the reason for which he's so hard onto this regime is because he has foreign support, but in particular, the homos.
Those are assertions. Those should have been facts. Are both facts.
I will ask our
For
producer to look for that
example,
video. He will
in
post
fact,
it there
no,
for the
no,
Right Honourable
facts
Speaker
in,
as we move along.
I
Yeah.
think on the issue of the relationship between Bobi Wine and homosexuals, there are documentary evidence where he has met them, either in seminars or workshops, or where he has even his own utterances. And there was one utterance where he tried to revoke it. So I think if you put, if it was a matter in court and you put Anita to test,
He would use
or
that
to
as
prove,
the evidence.
there are documentary evidence that prove his relationship. So that is a statement of facts that can be proven by the person who uttered it. But I think you and me know that they are rubbing their contacts that has been manifested to that effect, even if Bobi Wine knows it, and it is what is being used against him. But if you say the other statement of Museveni dead is a fact,
Sick.
is he dead? No, it's a dead, sickness and death also.
He said, I think the post said that he was admitted, something
there
like
was
that.
sickness
And
and
death.
death also. So is he dead? So you
I
can
wouldn't
see
mind.
that.
I wouldn't mind. I am not dead. I
or
was
even
like, guys, I am not dead. They are joking.
Or
I'm not
even
dead.
sickness. Does he have any medical proof that he was admitted or being treated? So this, the one of Anita and the one of this other man, are
different.
presumed to be statement of facts. Who of them can stand by those facts?
Okay.
I think Anita, the short history I know is that indeed our colleague Bobi Wine, Honorable Chagulanyi, indeed in the past have rubbed shoulders with these people. In one instant, he even tried to retract it by saying, oh, you know, when I met these people, blah, blah, blah. So those are statements of facts, and those who uttered it can be put to test to prove it, that I said this because of ABC.
Thank you, Honorable Awich. Council Awich Pollar. You see, I have to highlight Council Awich Pollar. So close to Council Yvonne Mpambara, and maybe you could also summarize. I don't even know whether we could call that a summary, because he went ahead beyond a summary, and but of course that was equally important. You are going also to use literally at the same time and summarize for us the period while you were away, not forgetting the loss of Raila, and also all the political sequence of events as you might have followed them.
Of course, I'll begin with the past week, having lost a well-known freedom fighter. But also it's observing the interesting turn of events, especially when it comes to how the younger generations perceive Raila. For the past couple of years, a lot of Gen Zs especially, and the much younger millennials had fallen out with Raila. And I think if you had been following news, you'd see the reasons why. They reached a level where they are no longer tolerant of anyone they feel has betrayed them. And they felt that that's where Raila had started going wrong. They thought he was now in bed with Ruto, especially in Kenya, and they had slowly started detaching from him as a person. But I was surprised that despite all that, they still celebrated his life. We all came in solidarity. We said we have to pay tribute to this special man. Although even during the African Union campaigns, I think majority of us decampaigned him because we had followed the trend of how politics had gone in Kenya and said we're going to stand with our brothers and sisters. We won't give him that seat. Of course, retired general has said, you know, NRM was pushing, Museveni was on his side, but then we feel there was that disconnect with the younger generation because we're no longer willing to tolerate the level to which we felt betrayed. It's very sad. We felt at a loss as well because also majority of these deaths is the death of so many mentors. I think Rito talked about it and said that he was one of the mentors and people I looked up to when I was in most of these spaces in politics. So we feel it was a big loss for us as well. The other interesting fact is the fact that he talked about propaganda. There were these posters about Besigye and Tindu that were going around, Tindu from Tanzania, that people were circulating around social media saying, especially for Besigye.
They had asked that he be allowed to go and bury.
That, let me go and bury my friend. I think they were very good friends, himself and Raila, saying that I need to go and bury my friend. Let me out. I go bury my friend, and after that you can kill me peacefully. That was very scary. Of course, at first I looked at it and said, I mean, if he got out and he managed to escape to Kenya, why would he come back? That would be a route for him to go to exile. But it's interesting to see that we've reached that level of the political culture in East Africa, where we can't have that level of tolerance and unity. For Besigye to lose a close friend like that and he's still in jail, or for during elections, for Besigye to still be in jail, and we're not even sure why he's there. We're not sure why he's there. And the same trend is happening in Tanzania. The leader of opposition is in jail, also pleading and begging to go and bury his friend. Who is copying who? What's happening? What's happening?
Which will answer you because he's a friend of Tanzanians. He always goes there. Not even, I think in the space of a month he can go there like twice. So
we need those answers. We need those answers. Okay. So we feel the political culture it's regressing, and it's very sad that it's regressing to that level. It's sadder for the younger generations to be witnessing that, especially from what we'd call the older guard that is supposed to be doing the mentorship part of the next generations of leaders that are supposed to be coming up. But also secondly, with the political culture that we have here in Uganda, now that we are going through campaigns, presidential campaigns, but also preparing for the nominations of members of parliament. I remember a statement that Honorable Norbert Mao said a few weeks ago, where he said, this is going to be the quietest election period. And indeed, it's extremely quiet.
Isn't that a credit to Honorable Awich and the team? That they are not bokers, because if you may complete,
is that what he meant?
If you may complete the entire message, Councillor Yvonne, I want to remind you also, as a matter of fact, that he said, I think the most recent video, he said people are looking for masanyalaze, they're looking for power, for electricity. So thinking that after they have arrested them, they will make a lot of, they will make political capital. So isn't that a plus that so far there is no recorded violence? Literally the campaigns are calm, save for basic, in quotes, basic interferences. Wouldn't you credit them?
No, that's one way to look at it. But on our side, we feel...
You want a way?
No, we feel it was a statement that was a threat to Ugandans. It was showing that any level of dissent,
there is going to be trouble.
We're willing to cut down on you.
He will tell us
something else
if he has a different picture.
So I think that's why Ugandans took it with a pinch of salt. If you heard how Ugandans responded to that statement, they were scared, they were not happy. They said, what does that statement mean? What does that statement mean? Are we not going to hold rallies anymore? Are we not going to be in our homes? Are we not going to follow our candidates? What does that statement mean? And you cannot blame Ugandans for feeling scared and wondering why a statement like that has to be made.
Does that mean that they have shied away and left the campaigns take their own course?
Who has shied away?
I mean the electorate, maybe because of such a message. So some are skeptical.
I mean, Ugandans are willing to push all that time, even if you threaten them. I don't think they've run away per se, but I think we need to interrogate what that in particular meant, especially with the kind of history we've had from the past elections and with the kind of regime we're currently under, since we know how the trend of things have been going.
Wouldn't you credit police in your heart of hearts and say, at least for now, so far, is there any credit for police and security agencies?
I mean, for once, the level of violence and arrests are not as many. So I would credit them for that. But I feel still on the other side, the way Ugandans receive most of these things is what matters. It's how they receive them. If we are used to a history of violence, especially during elections, it means that when certain threats are being made, it's the first thing we're going to think about. We're not going to think about peace. We're not going to think about police behaving out of the blue, yet for the longest history they've never behaved. The first thing we start thinking about is these people are planning something to do to either the electorate or the candidates.
Okay. Councillor Yvonne, have this as your, I think for now, in regards to that very foundation for our discussion. You mentioned, and of course the same question will come to Honorable Awich Pollar, East Africa at large for having lost a person they consider Pan-African. But some people also consider him otherwise, as for some reason, either too tolerant and to that regard also going ahead and being interpreted by some as a political opportunist. Create some trouble, go handshake, go back home. Come fight a bit, create some trouble, handshake, mediate, come back on board with, of course, specifics in regards to agreements. He had issues with, even if we come closer and cite issues between him and the late President
Moi.
In fact, when he left Moi, Mwai Kibaki, and it is on record that they had their agreement. I will want cabinet ministers. I want all these positions for my people. Let alone when he felt betrayed, he ran away in courts, political running, made other formations. What is your say in particular? Is he a genuine Pan-African or a political opportunist?
That goes to me?
Yeah, sure. We'll come back to Honorable Awich, the very one.
I have seen those statements where he's been called a political plant, that he's made a political career out of running. And I think they had started saying a couple of those statements to Besigye as well.
Yeah, sure.
But I think maybe looking at the realistic end of it, there are times when the electorate reaches a point where they feel that if your candidature is not achieving the results it's meant to achieve, then you're not giving them the results they want.
Does that represent that saying of if you can't defeat them, join them?
No, we are coming. But then along the way, and I like how the political culture of Kenya runs. You can see their level of opposition, and whoever is in the seat is never too much far apart from each other. There's a way they tolerate each other in terms of maybe if I do not win, you can come as vice president, or you can come as a minister, or you can, which is not a culture that we see here in Uganda.
Would you advocate for such a culture? That wake up in the morning and Bobi Wine is the prime minister with Museveni, or Besigye is the minister, and that's the way to go?
I would, but I think for majority of the generations we have now, that level of tolerance is not there. It's not there. So it's either you are for or you're against.
Completely.
Even there's no in between.
Even being Honorable Awich's friend is trouble to some people if you're in opposition.
And I think that's why the slightly older generation keeps trying to bridge those gaps and tell us you cannot have the extremes the way you think it's supposed to be. You can't say because Bobi Wine is opposition, you can never dialogue with Museveni, which is what majority of us are not willing to see. Because the minute we see Bobi Wine and Museveni in one picture, we'll say Bobi Wine has been
Is
corrupted.
that either or willing to, do you think either Museveni or Bobi Wine, any of them is willing to have the other for a dialogue and
For the good of this country, I think we need to reach a level of democratic maturity where that should be possible.
Okay.
The way Kenya does it. But I do not think we have that level of democratic
Finally,
maturity.
how would you describe Raila? Are you for those who say he was a political opportunist or rather a mature politician?
I think no. It reached a point where he had become an industry plant, or what we call.
Okay.
Yes.
That I don't threaten my guest, Honorable Awich, because
If I'm being honest, he had reached that level. Because now, from all these levels of leadership and from the different regimes he had sat through, and at his age, if he had also reached Ruto's government and he was doing the same thing, despite how many protests were coming from the much younger generation saying, we have to reach a level where we can't tolerate being in support of this man because of what he's doing. I think for his age, he should have said, I've done enough, I need to take a back seat, or either join an old guard where I can just guide. But joining them directly is why they saw him as a sellout.
Yeah, where you can't defeat them, you join them. Honorable Awich, what's your view? Given your expertise and experience, I will give you some bit of a reference that there are some South Africans up to now that have never forgiven Nelson Mandela. I know for a fact because you have been there. And being someone at an international level, I know you know that there are people who have never forgiven Mandela. Surprisingly, there are so many that we are very happy with Robert Mugabe's policies. Re-own everything that belonged to the whites. For Mandela, guys, let us preach peace and reconciliation. From Right Honorable Raila, in which caliber would you see him and also describe him? An opportunist, a mature politician.
First of all, it's difficult to make a decision. Even me, to come here for this show, I have to decide between coming here and doing some other things. So you can see how hard it is to make a decision. And that is why in family law or domestic relations law, it's a relationship between a wife and a husband is very special.
That's why they can't even testify in court at some point.
Because if me alone, I struggle to take a decision, should I go for a show, should I not? How about if you put Yvonne and Peter and you expect them to be together? And that is why if Yvonne runs to court with a bleeding head, cut with a panga by Peter, that she wants to divorce, court will give what you call decree ninsai. Go and think about it. Even if she yells and said, hey, my head is bleeding. Because they know that at any point, they said, go back.
You might reconcile.
If you come back, court will grant you what is called decree altam. That is, say, after 6 months or 1 year, I don't know the provision now. Now, court will have a cooling period for the reason that issues between two are very difficult. Remember, I've started that even decision making of one person is difficult. Whether to come for this show or to go for something else. How about now Yvonne and Peter? Now, that is how decision making is very difficult. And for the marriage, for example, for the couple, the cooling period of 1 year used to be that out of 100 people who have come and applied for decree inside, only 5 come back for decree altam. The others, they already
and reconcile.
The others, they already kissing. Many are actually pregnant. So if courts were to issue such things, you can see how many do it. Now, coming to a community decision making, you want to please everybody, whether you are Mandela or Raila, because the decision you will take is difficult for you to make, and when you make, it's difficult.
Comes with the consequences.
South Africa, for example, is that we had 2 forces. There was the Pan-African movement and then the ANC. Pan-African movement, which was calling itself the Azania, believed that push the whites to the ocean. Push the whites to the ocean. Mandela with Lucky Dube, they also hated Lucky Dube. They called him a coward. Because Lucky Dube in his songs had things like Together as One,
different colors,
one people. You know, Lucky Dube kept singing so many things, crime and war, where he was really saying we need to become together. Mandela and Lucky Dube believed in a rainbow country. A rainbow country meaning a country of everybody.
Every color.
but some people didn't. Therefore, with the decision making, I started with myself, I put Yvonne and Peter, and now I put Nelson Mandela. It's difficult. You want to please anybody, everybody rather. So you better make it. So whatever it is, the young generation, Yvonne is saying we're not happy with Raila, but that was the decision he took. For the insiders in Kenya, they said there were times when Kenya was supposed to be on fire, and Raila coming together with Ruto saved Kenya. But of course, some youth will say,
who benefited? Because it's one thing to save them.
Kenya
you go back home with some
Kenya benefited because Kenya was not on fire. Now, if you think the benefit must be what you carry in your chest or in your bank account, then that is up to you. But in this case, the belief was Kenya benefited. Kenya was not set on fire because there was such hostilities that if the two leaders did come together, Kenya would be on fire. So who is the beneficiary? It's Kenya. But as I said earlier, you want to please everybody. That is it. And that is why Lucky Dube was still cast in South Africa. He was advocating for the rainbow country. Mandela advocated for that. PAC, which was a very fundamentalist organization, where are they? They're nowhere. I don't think even PAC has a member of parliament now in South Africa.
Does that represent the very reason for which people like Malcolm X is literally faded away? Because there's some people who, okay, Malcolm X himself, if I may use an analogy, he said if someone comes and talks to you in French, you don't reply to them in English because literally you won't communicate. So to him, who was literally for an eye for an eye, if they have done us wrong, so be it. We approach them that way. Does that mean that such theories haven't worked, or rather they are seen as radical theories?
But even ANC in South Africa with Mandela, for a long time they believed in a peaceful
discussions and dialogues.
Yes, peaceful. For a long time, until they also realized that their peaceful approach was being met with force. So they also resorted to armed struggle. The armed struggle that ends
with the radical Winnie Mandela
and formed later on the spear of the nation. What is it in Zulu? In Ziwe, something like that. You remember? The spear of the nation. That army of theirs, which by the time they captured power, they had over 100 generals. We used to meet them. We used to
you even have you train them in Nakasongola and
Kaweta. One time I asked them, I said, but you guys, you are generals. Where are your army? He said, we have 90,000 force. Invisible army. They had it. They had girls, beautiful girls like Yvonne, who would carry a scorpion pistol in their brags, in their kalega, the brags. And they would go with the scorpion pistol in the bar and they would shoot the white, and they knew how to. They had a very former president, the one which came after the third after Mandela, Zuma was the head of military intelligence. He knew how to identify targets. He was a CMI of the struggle, so he would deploy armed struggle girls with a scorpion pistol in the bar and. So they fought, and they had invisible 90,000. So therefore, the armed struggle also came in the case of Mandela. So for the sake of Raila, for him to be seen like that, I had started by saying decision making is difficult, and even when you make, you don't please everybody, but you really, a decision made is better than none made. So if they really felt that by coming together with Raila, with the Ruto, at a time when Kenya was boiling and they served the nation, so there are those who will appreciate and those who will not.
If I may ask you, Honorable Awich, had you been in the same shoes, would you have acted the same way he did? Of course, in reference to Ruto, then also the other handshake you all remember, and for the people he has, would you have done the same?
Personally,
or rather you stand on your feet and say, this is ours, we cannot compromise
so
on
much,
this.
even at my small level, for the sake of community, for the sake of continuation. I've done so much, even at place of work, where with the work politics at place of work, there are things you let go. So if I was in that situation and I saw that Kenya or Uganda for that case would be on fire, and all I need to do was to appear and say, please, let's leave it and greet, I would have done that. In other words, that is putting the interest of the country ahead
first.
of yours.
Country before self.
Because
So
should I be, of course some people would celebrate to say, let it burn, after all I'm not in state power. Let it burn, let's lose it.
We both lose it.
Let's both lose it.
Why?
But if you know, you can say, no, I'm not in. It's just like the other two mothers who came to Solomon and tested Solomon's intellect. Solomon, the one of the woman, both of them
The
were
real mother
claiming.
had a different, yeah.
And then Solomon picked a panga and said, can we cut this thing into half so that you mother take half of the baby? The other fake mother said, yes,
It's
yes,
okay.
yes, you cut it. And then Solomon said, where?
There's no real mother who can
You are not
advocate
a
for
real mother.
chopping that.
So if Kenya was the child and the two mother was Raila and Ruto, and it was going to it needed to divide it, why wouldn't they sacrifice and said, yes, you are in power, even if this fire cools to your advantage, I would rather let it cool to your advantage, but save Kenya.
Do you think Uganda is mature enough to do that? Because in reference, let me give you just a very recent reference where, because there is no doubt that the likes of VSJ and other political prisoners are your colleagues, some of them, like your friends back in the Bush days, and you have him in jail, and to some people think this is literally also, let us cut this kid. Is the president a mother enough, if I use that analogy, a mother enough to say, for purposes of this child's life, Uganda, some things will let them be and we move forward?
I don't think that is a good example.
I give you another one. Okay, let us cross to Rwenzururu. Usinga wa Rwenzururu. You have heard if your intelligence has told you A, B, and Z, would you rather choose to crush them or rather look for ways to talk to them and dialogue? We want another example. Proceed, sir.
Example are completely not matching.
Proceed.
You know the example.
Okay, so you got that mature enough, especially with you who are in power, to say.
You know the matter in issue. The example we are saying is an issue that is threatening the decision of the country, and many people would go away and threaten to tear. The nearest example you can give to Museveni is
LRA.
Yes, where rebel forces are there and they are causing mayhem, and all you needed is to give them spaces in government. Starting from the Lalai, the UP, the first peace talks in Acholi, which brought one, became a minister of public service. He died later. Then there was this peace talks in Yumbe, which made Bamuze to be promoted from sergeant to major general.
Sure.
Sergeant.
Ali Bamuze was a mere sergeant and promoted to major general.
I was part of the peace talks. I was a captain myself. The man jumped, left me from sergeant to major general. And you know, and so on and so forth. So that is the nearest that you'd say that this cabinet you have, even if you have your cadres, NRA, clear-headed cadres, can you sacrifice, put them aside, and bring this rebel
For purposes of harmony.
for the purposes of harmony? And then you remove the cadre and say, you go and sit away, let us bring this one.
Does that, do you want to communicate that also Uganda has tried it?
Yes,
in one way?
Uganda has tried. So that is the nearest example to sacrifice for the sake of the country.
Thank you, Honorable Awich. With due honesty, if I may ask on behalf of our viewers, is there instances where you think that your government ought to have done as you mentioned, but for some reason you didn't do it? Say there was room, and I think at a personal level, at a government level, we should have mediated or negotiated or dialogued with so and so, but this didn't work, and you have such regrets.
I don't remember any now.
Okay. Councillor Yvonne, I don't know whether you want to share.
But you had asked me about the statement of Mao.
Okay.
You had asked that.
Proceed. About the. I had wanted that we have that in our. Okay, you can. Yeah. You
if
can
I
maybe
remember, I think the statement in issue was you can correct me, that Mao says this is going to be the quietest election.
Yeah.
And you people see something wrong with that? Okay, suppose Mao had said this is going to be the most violent election.
We would still put you on.
Would you be happy
Still
with
be
that?
scared.
Would you still would be scared?
This is what I'm telling you, that decision making, whatever you say, you will not please everybody. And that's why, again, I get back to Lucky Dube. In his song, he says, if you keep telling people something you don't know, they will hate you. Should you tell them about yourself that you know so much, they'll say you are boasting. If you tell them about somebody else, they said you are gossiping. So what do?
Maybe keep
I
quiet.
tell them about what I don't know, they hate me. The song is called I've Got Jah. So it is only Jah whom you can talk about. Because now, if Mao says this is going to be the quietest election,
Was it in good faith?
and you raised
Was
that,
it?
should he had said that this is going to be the most
Was it in
violent?
good faith? Or it was another violence,
Yes,
but
it
hidden
was.
now in sweet
Yeah,
words?
because
As
it's
a
a
minister
political
of
jargon.
government.
Or there were threats hidden in sweet words?
As a minister of government and a minister for constitutional affairs, he is the one who oversees election
elections.
processes. Why would a minister say that? One, you would have seen that the laws in place, the relevant laws that needed to be passed, Parliament passed it. He has handed to Election Commission the relevant laws. Two, he would have known that resources available is provided for either for Election Commission, even for the police who are keeping peace.
So he
Including
concluded
training,
by
including
saying
training.
with such...
Three, he could have been privy to a meeting with the commander-in-chief who had assured him the level of the participation in the military in this. So as a minister, he was saying, with all this in place, this is going to be the quietest election.
And so far,
you people
and
are
so
up
far
at
it
arms.
is.
So you wanted him to say, this is going to be the most violent election. Then you clap. No.
Isn't it?
No,
Does
no,
that
no.
also take us
No.
to some childhood stories of, it's like killing someone's, how do they call it, silently, or, someone may use such a statement, but in actual sense it is covered with some other interpretations. As,
Yeah, but it is being seen that there is no violence. It is being seen.
what does Mpambara have to say?
His
To be
statement
fair
has
to
proved that
Ugandans.
it is quiet.
To be fair to Ugandans,
If you-
that was the time they had just told candidates that they were going to be protected by SFC.
By the way, I remember that's what you said.
So
that
it was
every
the
country-
nature of the environment surrounding the statement that made Ugandans worry.
But otherwise, we have to congratulate Honorable Awich and the team for, at least so far, we haven't had that 2021
Level of violence.
level of violence so far. And I think for purposes of building our nation, where credit is called for, it's fair enough for all of us to come and say, kudos, if I may say. And where you of course do otherwise, like where we have seen other DCs bar candidates from attending, specific, rather approaching specific venues. And I watched Justice Piabakama also saying that was wrong and he would take them up. And of course the police. Finally, onto this very matter, Honorable Awich. Much as you say that we have had some bit of harmony in these campaigns, I know you know for a fact that the president, your commander-in-chief, as his staff, hasn't had issues with security. Whereas other candidates are being told to go through those villages and those funny roads, a distance that one would cover in 2 hours, spends over 8 hours, and their vehicles are getting stuck. What's your comment?
Oh, two things. That my candidate, my flag bearer, has not had issues with security. That is a given. Because the law provides that even if Mr. X was the president, he would still enjoy the presidency status, because a country cannot remain in a vacuum. He will only hand over if another person wins. If he doesn't win and another one wins. So we are lucky that our flag bearer is an incumbent, and there he has no security. So it would be least for him not to have security issues. So that is a given. The other one about other people having security issues. You are the one who has been thanking me about how peaceful this thing is.
It was by and large.
So I have not known of that. And if I got to know it, and I know the facts, no, I will raise it within our
Would you
circle.
just stamp yourselves?
I would raise it in our circle.
If, for instance, if you won this coming election, would you just stamp yourselves for having participated and won a free, fair, and
automatically, it is the two of you have okay. Automatically, because even here,
after blocking some people from using the main road, after anything else, and then you say,
because
we
now,
won this.
Now, the two of you here have even appreciated me.
You're going to use that as your defense for the whole of
for the quiet election. So even you put the word so far, as if you expected trouble tomorrow.
I don't know, you're in charge now.
As if you expected the trouble tomorrow. But you have thanked me for a quiet and peaceful election.
Underline
yes,
so far.
So we shall, you will keep thanking me every week.
So far. Up to
you will keep thanking me every week because we are going to have a peaceful election.
I think it was in comparison to what transpired in the previous elections. And the yardstick, if you apply such a yardstick of 2021 elections with this, you would definitely be unfair. Not to say that so far you have done fair work.
You will be thanking me weekly.
Up to January. Okay. Mpambara, you have used the 3 minutes, you comment on that, and then we can cross to our break, come back and have the heated discussion again.
But also we're still in the first few weeks of campaigns. Yeah. So maybe, like you said, we'll come back to either thank or... I'd wanted to comment on something that you were discussing earlier, especially in terms of if it would be possible for the president right now to be able to dialogue or have that level of democratic maturity with opposition, certain opposition leaders, let's say. I think the issue that we've had in this country is the fact that there's no fair dialogue. It's either Museveni is willing to co-opt you or it doesn't happen. When I was looking at that picture of iPod, when all these when they held the conference or the meeting and these party presidents were all lining up as if they've come to greet their idol, like their fans. You can see how they were humbling themselves. And then it's when I realized...
You have to bow.
It's when I realized that there's no level of equality between NRM and other opposition and opposition figures or leaders or parties. It's not there. So when I was thinking about what the nature of that dialogue would be, now I started thinking, how exactly would these people dialogue when they're looking at this man like their idol?
And
how would they be able to critique? How would they be able to call him out over something? How would they be able to sensibly represent this country's challenges when they're looking at Museveni like he's there, like they had met an idol they hadn't seen in a long time? If you see that picture up to today, it's on the internet. You will see how they humbled themselves.
Maybe that's your interpretation. You see, photographic interpretation, like back in the day in geography, each one of us would give their own interpretations. They would ask this farm, and you say, it's about Tuma's farm in Kabad. I don't know whether it's Kabad or Chisoro. Then someone would say, this is honorable, maybe this is Awich's farm in Irida. And all of us would be right.
You see, if it stopped there, it would be okay.
So
but you can't have these same people now going the extra mile to even campaign for NRM. What right does Norbert Mao to come and say, I'm campaigning for NRM? What right does the Speaker of Parliament have to go and say me I'm campaigning for the military, the what?
Vice chair of NRM.
Okay, fine. Now now that's her excuse, but even before she was doing it.
Okay.
Like we have the military doing the same thing. This, there was what's the soldier's name? I don't know if he's a general or who was going in different districts with pictures of Bobby Wine's children. At least that was an internet story. And saying that, oh, this man, don't vote for him. Same story, he's supported by homosexuals.
I think it's, I've seen,
yeah,
I've seen, I think, some story moving. We shall ask our producer, by God's grace, as we return in our second hour, maybe he could have that clip if we can. I saw that, and yeah.
So that's the level of contention. We are not sure that would have the maturity to have a Ruto and Raila kind of dialogue. It's either someone is displaying their power and they're willing to co-opt you as much as possible to pull you out of that position where you can ably critique and say there's something wrong here. You shouldn't do it.
Okay. Our viewers, we're still moving forward. In a few seconds, we shall be back. Let's first step out for a short break and come back shortly. And then we ask Honorable Awich to tell the public what informed of their campaign theme, protecting the gains. Then, of course, with Councillor Yvonne, will answer to us on whether those gains even exist or we have nothing to protect. Catch you in a few seconds.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Teddy, have you noticed how little attention science and health issues get in the media?
Totally, Edgar, yet science information is very important.
Yeah, for sure. That's why the Health Journalists Network is here.
How can they help?
They are a group of journalists dedicated to advancing public understanding of healthcare issues through impactful reporting on health and science.
Oh, really?
Yes, they meet up every month with scientists and researchers, policymakers, and activists at the Science Media Cafes. They then relay what they discuss to the public.
Does that benefit us?
Oh yes, very much so. This helps with health and science literacy for a healthy Ugandan society.
Okay. I love getting informed about science and health issues. Health information makes all the difference between life and death. I'll look them up and engage them.
That's great. They are based all over the country.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, and they should be making real impact.
They are empowering health communities through journalism. Journalists can save lives just like doctors.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Thank you all for keeping it Digitalk, and gladly we're back, and we can't take your patience and viewership for granted. We're back here with Honorable Awich Pollar, of course, for purposes of this show and the rest of the shows, the council, because like he mentioned, we must ensure that people understand that NRM has people of quality, not the story he was saying that some people make fun of them, that once you have your working brains, it's as if when you join NRM, you leave your... that's what that people... He said that's what people say. It's not what I say. We have, of course, we still have Council Yvonne Mpambara, who at some point wished to appear on the presidential ballot paper as a presidential candidate. Sadly, she didn't. She wasn't in position to be there. Back in the day, she said she had been failed. On whether that was true or otherwise, that is for some other time. The real cardinal purpose for which we convened this discussion with Honorable Awich Pollar and Councillor Yvonne Mpambara is to interrogate the theme that goes as follows: protecting the gains. I want to ask Honorable Awich Pollar whether indeed those are gains to literally protect, if there are, and I will give you a highlight of basic information in line to so far what Uganda faces. And as we speak, if you may consider it as important here, is that we have a debt of 116.2 trillion as a debt. Literally, that is a 51.8% of our GDP. I will want to use this as a yardstick to also compare ourselves with the country Brunei, which has 2.29% of their GDP as the debt. Brunei. Uganda has 51.80 of our GDP. Brunei has 2.29. I'll go ahead and give you Kuwait, which has 3.04. Kuwait. But of course, what is very interesting is Libya, Botswana, and Equatorial Guinea. And you know, Equatorial Guinea is another funny country in West Africa, which has also been in trouble. But according to the IMF records, they say they simply have 25% of their GDP as a debt. Kindly share with the public, Honorable Awich, what are those gains you want us to protect as Ugandans?
First, on the question of debt, I like viewers to know that nearly every country has debts. Debts appear to be an economic way of managing a country. Japan and United States have huge debts. Huge debts. Japan and United States, they are the most indebted countries. You can check.
Yeah, America is the most indebted country in the world.
America is the most indebted. So, running a country with debts, borrowing, seems to be the normal way of doing things. Now, a country like Brunei, I don't know whether many viewers know Brunei. The full name of Brunei is called Brunei Darussalam. Brunei Darussalam. Brunei, I'm even surprised that they would have such a thing. Brunei is a country.
2.29.
It's a country floating on oil and gas. It floats in the water, and where they are floating is on oil and gas. At one time, it is ruled by a king. At one time, the king called Michael Jackson to play for the whole country. Said, I've invited Michael Jackson.
International artists to come and sing.
They have paid for the whole country. You go and watch Michael Jackson.
Yeah, to be a happy country.
For free. The king himself flies a jet made of gold.
Yeah.
He's played. So I'm even surprised that they have debts.
Of 2 point...
Yeah, because they're floating on oil.
We are also floating on oil. We are floating
But
on gold. We are floating on gold.
We haven't started selling. Brunei sells gas. They sells what? And the population is so small. Did you see their population?
Yeah, they have a small population.
Very small. Now, the other country would be surprised if they had debt.
Libya?
No.
Kuwait?
No.
Equatorial Guinea?
No.
Botswana?
No.
Which country now?
The country that I would be surprised to have is Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein is a country of 37,000 people, and it is the richest in Europe. It is between Switzerland and Germany, and they even use Swiss currency. But it is the richest in Europe. Even white doctors from Germany go there for cheyo. But over and above is that debt is a normal currency in every country. What matters is what you use for the debt.
Yeah,
is
sure.
it
So I would ask you, what do we use the money?
done this with it, and this is what is causing the debt.
Maybe, Honorable Awich, this could also guide you in your submission. Simply in 2018, we had 41 trillion as a debt. June 2018. You can imagine between 2018 to 2025, we have 116 point.
Yes.
Trillion.
So I was saying debts, on the issue of debts, is a normal way of governance. What matters is
what you use the money for.
How what you use the money for. And also connected to that is your ability to control resource leakage. If we borrow money and people use it for corruption, that is absurd.
Is the government itself doing that?
On the matter of corruption, all of us have agreed, and we keep putting it in our manifesto, and we insist and we implore our national chairman to fight it. We have always told the national chairman that you, son of Kaguta, if you can domesticate the army, which used to be wild, like a wild animal, please, why don't you domesticate for us these people who are corrupt?
What does he say?
Them. He says, these are human beings with brains, we shall fight them, and the war continues. So, on the issue of debts, it's a way of governance. United States, Japan, they have huge debts. Surprisingly, a rich country floating on oil like Brunei also has debts. I don't know how. Okay, now this moves me to your next question of the gains.
The gains. In specifics.
Gain, I can talk until cows come back home, but I will limit myself and maybe package it in thematic concern, because we can't list gains unfinished. But one thing, the gains that we have is that there is the gain. Gains are divided into two. There's the materially tangible gains and the non-material gains. The non-material gains here are gains like the unity of the country. I've repeatedly said that since NRM, since Museveni came to power, many countries have died. Somalia has died. Sudan broke into two. Yugoslavia died. Libya is in crisis. So whichever countries have collapsed, but Uganda is one.
Is there a guarantee that after his reign,
yes,
Uganda
there's
will stay?
A guarantee. There's a guarantee. So that is the non-tangible gains. The other gains is democracy. We have democracy. People are nearly fatigued by electoral processes. People have voted until, like now, they'll vote president, parliament, and by the time it reaches councillors, the turn-up is very poor because people have voted and they are tired. We have the democracy. Then we have things like, institutional build-up. We have built institutions, whether you call it the courts of law, whether you call it the prisons, the police, the army, with its domesticated processes. All those are software development that we have had gains. Now, when you come to the tangible gains, we can talk of, before I leave that, the non-tangible one also is the life expectancy. We have moved from 40 years, where people would live on earth for only 40 years. We have moved to 64. Now you can live to 64 years. We have added 24 years on the life of a person in Uganda. So those are the gains. And as I said, you can count them on and on and on. But remember, we divided into tangible gains and non-tangible gains. I will end for the non-tangible at that, but the list is long. The tangible ones are infrastructure. We're talking of many roads. You have the bridge in Jinja, bridge in Kayunga, bridge in the National Park, on the same River Nile, which we had always had, the one constructed by colonialists. We have built schools at parish level, a primary school. Are
they functional? It's just a matter of having...
at the sub-county or division, a secondary school.
I will ask our producer to have to showcase some of the schools and but just random search.
Also
random search.
Also
yeah, we are going to good ones. Yeah.
Also choose good ones.
Arnold in the control room. If you have any photos of those beautiful schools and some infrastructure, kindly share with Honorable which he may not be aware.
We are talking of that.
The tangible.
Yes, the tangible. The schools, the hospitals. Okay, so many. The bridges, so many. So a lot of gain has been made. And indeed this gain, we don't want it regressed. We don't want to regress. That's why we're saying, and it is in answering your question, whether we have guarantee that in the absence it will be protected. That's why we're saying, please vote NRM. NRM is the only one which can protect those gains.
I have this for you, Honorable, which I do not know whether... But I know you you read a lot, and in particular by virtue of your office, and even if it wasn't by virtue of office, I'm sure you are in position to procure newspapers. There is a paper I was trying to read through, and their analysis was that some scholars say that the gains you people mention as worth the protection are rather the looting by some of your people in government. So they have everything to protect. Do you think other ordinary Ugandans have anything that they have gained that is worth protecting? The levels of unemployment, do Ugandans have jobs to as a gain to protect? Where young people are leaving the country on a daily. Some are sleeping hungry. We shall have, by God's grace, we shall have even some photos of the schools and hospitals. Are those the gains, or rather it is the gains by few of some of your colleagues in government that we need to protect these gains?
First of all, I am happy I read so much. Even going now, I have a book in the car I have to complete. That is Dialectical Materialism by Maurice Conforth. And I have to read that. I will finish that. And then when I go to Tanzania, I would have picked another philosophical book to read. I read philosophy, but newspaper also read. But I read a lot of philosophy because it is with philosophy that gives you the tools of analysis. Reading newspaper is like drinking water. Now, I am not sure I read that very biased opinion.
Why do you have to underline and say biased?
But the gain we have is a national gain. No man, no Uganda is now willing to break that country into pieces to a point now where a Karamojong is in Kabale and is talking to people at home on phone and is not bothered. He's talking Karamojong, in Kabale, he's ringing to, nobody even cares. Who cares? Or a Muchiga in Moroto now is ringing back home, who cares? Who now wants to put that into a situation where the Cholis are different, the Bateso are alone, the Banyoro are there, the Banyankola are there? Who wants that? Those are the gains we need to protect, that we are here enjoying our unity in diversity. Of course we shall always do. There's nothing perfect. I have seen in Europe, countries which are not nation states also have issues. No man, in Europe, there are countries of nation states, like for example, Germany is for the Germans, France is for the French, Italy is for the Italians. But countries which are not like that, like Belgium, where you have the Dutch, you have the French, they have issues. Even a country like Belgium. I was a judge in UN, and these countries would come before us in UN, then they nearly fight there. You see them really confused. The only country that I could give credit where their national team coach football also uses a official language is Switzerland, because you have the Swiss German, the Swiss Italian, the Swiss French, and there's another type of people there. Now, It is only Switzerland because they have such an old democracy. Remember, Switzerland has older democracies than German. German became German in 1870 something. The France were still fighting in 1790. But Switzerland was already a country, and yet they are combined. So it is in those old democracy that you find in Europe nearly something you can't find like itches. How about us? In our third schedule in the Constitution, third schedule in the Constitution is that schedule which shows indigenous communities, the tribes, 65 of them. How would you expect us to stay without problem? But now we have diversity in unity in diversity. If Yvonne went to Karamoja and she's ringing to people in Kabul, in a restaurant in Moroto, who cares that Yvonne is talking to people in Uchiga or in whatever?
Couldn't it be
So,
a pretense waiting for
it's
time
not
X?
a pretense. Who? Why would a Karamojong looking at you pretend? Pretend to who?
Like,
Or
no,
why would a Muchiga in Kabul seeing a Karamojong talking? Pretend to
They
who?
might think she's in power, so she's protected.
How about a Karamojong who is talking in Kabul?
That is a security agent. Someone could think.
No.
And
So
you have
those are the gains that nobody wants to lose.
To lose.
Not a gain of personal accusation of wealth, as is alleged. No. Who wants to say that the roads that were built, please break it into pieces, or break the bridge in Jinja, break the bridge in Kayonga, break the bridge in
Katonga,
or even in the national park in Masindi. You know, after Masindi, there's a new bridge there. Thanks God was built by an OB of Nutari School. But it's a very nice bridge. So,
they are gains protect.
yes, Apollo Bergia. Apollo Bergia is the one who did that. So now, those are collective gains. Those are societal gains. Those are national gains. And it is the gains that we want. And that is why, after the army is domesticated, when there are issues about the army, there's an uproar because we seem to be losing the gains. So everybody is saying, look, we are domesticated. This army is now good. Please, let's maintain the gain. So it is not true that the gains are personal gains. The gains are societal gains, community gains, national gains.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Awich. Let's cross to Councillor Yvonne. And you have heard him. Would you mind giving us your view in regards to whether or not there are those gains? If not, why?
There.
Oh. No, I'll delve into maybe just a little bit of history, especially before NRM came into power, and the nature of expectation that so many Ugandans had towards the role or towards what NRM had promised in terms of delivery. Of course, when they came into power, Ugandans were seeing these new heroes, the new messiahs, and from the promises that President Museveni had made to Ugandans, how he had said, now you're going to be floating in milk and gold and honey, we had assumed that Uganda is completely going to transform from the nature of what the leadership had been before his rule. If we look at Obote, if we look at Amin, and how they had been leading this country or ruling it, the expectation of what NRM was supposed to do was supposed to be something completely different. We did not expect it to go down the same path as Obote and Amin especially.
Isn't that a very strong accusation towards the person of the president and also their government? Because I will highlight this for you. When he was launching his manifesto with that theme, protecting the gains, he highlighted that back in the day, there was not even basics like salt, sugar. Yvonne, from here, you can access any shop and get a kilo of sugar. You can even get salt and kerosene. Okay, basics. Why do you want to tarnish the gentleman's name that we are not gains when he highlights what wasn't there?
It's been 40 years. I don't know why they keep going back to that same. I mean, what would you have expected to have done in 40 years? Would you have expected the country to be static and nothing has happened? Because even Obote and Amin will give you their achievements.
They also had gains.
They had gains. They built roads. They built hospitals. Actually, majority of our hospitals that are really strong were built from their time. So they'll also give you those achievements. But if we look at the nature of how so many sectors and how certain, and I think I'll categorize them into a couple of them, service delivery, rule of law, infrastructure, which is going to come into service delivery, rule of law, constitutionalism. If we start breaking it down now into those major factors, to start analyzing whether there are gains that Uganda, especially now I'm going to speak to my generation and those that are coming down after us. If you ask us what the gains have been, are we able to calculate and analyze and tell you these are the gains?
Your generation, I don't know whether you, part of some of, not part, your generation in particular is a beneficiary of UPE.
What is the quality of that UPE?
And Honorable Awich has gladly told you of the schools. We are waiting yet to, we are yet to see some of the schools that the people will show to us. So are into those gains.
So from the, I mean, it's even good you've mentioned those. The very first thing we need to look at is the nature of service delivery under NRM that is protecting its gains. Maybe at a certain point during our parents' times, but I don't even think I can say our parents' times, because even them right now, they can't access sensible health care.
That's one of the schools, Honorable Awich.
Sensible health care. I'll begin from that. So the nature of service delivery has been cumbered by so many things. And they began a bit well. If you read the history of how NRM came and how people are perceiving its nature of delivering its results, for some years they were performing quite well, I think until the early 2000s. From the time they started arresting Besigye, they started slowly regressing and deteriorating. So the nature of public of service delivery is where it's reached right now, 40 years later, is poor. The quality of education has gone down. UPE schools, like you've showed, are now being run over by goats, herds of goats. Teachers are striking every year, they're not being paid. Health workers strike every year as well, they're not paid. So we cannot say that the quality is still the same.
Security.
If the achievements were there.
Security.
Security again, peace and security is also another area for contention. Because we've constantly reminded ourselves that if we are not peaceful in our homes and as people, but the only kind of security you'd like us to understand is the absence of war, are we really peaceful? If
maybe that's a springboard towards the other piece. Absence of war, rely on to that.
See the bridge there.
The bridge, yeah. You see? You see the bridge.
One bridge in 40 years.
But of course, not everywhere there is need for a bridge. So they can't put that bridge in where you said. Maybe it's not necessary. But
so if you look at the nature of infrastructure, how does it take 4 years?
Could we talk about the cost about which in a second, maybe about the cost of such infrastructure? Because we had, it's on record that Uganda has the most expensive roads.
Yes.
And they were considering, I think, the express highway, about the cost. But of course, we'll come back onto that.
Billions and billions.
Yeah.
So again, Ugandans constantly remind this government that absence of war does not equate to peace. If we are living in our homes scared, like we were talking earlier on, simple statements are scaring Ugandans because of the nature of governance they've seen over the years. How they are being tortured. I mean, the president's son wakes up and tells you, may I have this man in my basement, I'm shaving him, I am torturing him, I'm doing what to him. He wakes up the next day, he's abusing women with no bums, or what does he call it, nyashless. The nature of how we've seen the governance going in this country is why we don't have peace.
And to those isolated cases, like they always say?
They're not isolated. They're not isolated, especially if they are continuous and consistent, they're not isolated. Secondly, there can't be peace if there's no justice. So what is the nature of justice in Uganda? If you wake up and throw Besigye in jail because he has annoyed you, you throw charges at him of terrorism, and what peace do you have in Uganda? If you wake up and you're angry at Bobi Wine and you change the constitution, what nature of rule of law do you have in Uganda? So what exactly are you protecting? What gains are you protecting if the quality of all these areas we are looking at have deteriorated? Maybe we'll speak of a time when those gains were there, but I can't say as of now, 2025.
I think we also need to be quite honest, Council Mpambara, to the viewers, and also doing them a big service to also acknowledge basic gains. Because as we speak, like we said previously, you not run away from also saying that there is affirmative action which has been given room for ladies to also come closer. In fact, the president said, back in the day, you and others, your grandmothers were back in the kitchen. You people, you are up here. You are in parliament as a speaker, you are in prime ministry as a prime minister.
In the studio.
You are in the studio with him. So those gains, yeah, he has also added some other examples. And those are some of the gains that perhaps once you irrigate such gains, you will get more fruits.
When will those fruits reach? Because again, we're looking at a time period of how long these people have been in power.
Is this too long to worry you?
It is. It is. Because also we do not know.
Should I remind you that the president said that Uganda is Somu Omeda? You know what? I know you know. Yeah. You also. What about you? Is it the same statement? Proceed. So just as
if scary. Like I earlier said, I feel NRM came with a very good agenda for Uganda. We're not going to lie about that. That is why when Ugandans saw what NRM was promising, they saw a messiah, they saw heroes that had come to save them from the nature of what they had had before. But again, we are looking at areas, we are looking at a country that is slowly regressing. And I don't know if that is because they've stayed in power for so long that they've slowly become detached from the reality, what majority of Ugandans are going through, because then they've become rich. I don't even know what they're up to. I think that what you were talking about earlier, that these gains might be felt by particular few that are either part of NRM or part of the first family or part of... You might have been right. Because for the majority of us, now we're starting to slowly feel that Uganda is not going where it's supposed to be going. And reason why, you're talking about affirmative action, but what is the nature of that affirmative action? What's the purpose of me being in parliament if I cannot meaningfully lead? Reason why? There's someone out there who is attempting to rotate my neck, telling me, no, that's not how you lead. Do it the way I want. What's the point? What's the point if you're just a quota filler? Is that a gain?
Do you want to assert that ladies in government positions have no power?
That's not the point, because even the men are not doing their job. So we cannot just nitpick on women. That's not it. In general, the nature of governance as well has gone down. So we can't only blame women for what has gone wrong with this country, because the men are also not performing. The men who have always had power to be able to do it are not doing it.
It's a general concern.
It is a general concern because the top leadership, the rotator, the head, has slowly become something else. It is not doing its role. The head is not doing its role. So the rest of how the entire body is rotating, it's not rotating in the right direction. And that's what we are saying. You might have had those gains 20, 30 years ago, but as of 2025, those gains are regressing. They are slowly going down.
Let's talk about democracy, as he mentions, and also Honorable Awich mentions. And how undemocratic is this country, as you mentioned? Isn't that some bit of
There's a statement Museveni said, I think a couple of years ago, I don't know if it was 5 or 6 years ago, where he said, I am going to eat opposition.
Crush.
Like a sambusa. Crush it. And if you get the analogy of that, or the visual of what that means, is the fact that you munch it so much. You see the way you eat a samosa. There's nothing of it left.
From this, from the sharp corner.
You eat it until it's completely finished.
And so, it's there, but it's there.
How is it there? What is the nature of what is there? Because if now all these, you told us NRM brought multipartyism, the pluralism part of democracy, but in actual sense, governance has just become a gimmick game because it is what Museveni wills it to be. Wakes up and tells you, these ones I'm going to chew them and finish them off. And indeed, he has done it. You cannot say you have a sensible opposition in Uganda. You can't say you have a sensible democracy when these people just go and shout and perform the same gimmicks that NRM is doing. What is that democracy? Is it true democracy?
Maybe it's a question to Honorable Awich to answer.
Democracy, where you have to pay for flags, you have to pay to represent a party, you have to pay to almost enter any position. Is that democracy?
Demand.
Demand.
The law of demand and supply.
So what nature of leaders are you putting out there if the ones who can afford to be there are only the ones with money? What is that democracy? We need to think about that as well.
So in your view, there are no gains to protect?
I think that is his answer to give.
No, for him he said there are as many.
That is his
So
answer to
it's
give.
only you and a few isolated cases who don't see the gains to protect.
In terms of, I think it's even something I've said before. The bit of security I would give credit for to NRM is the role it has played, especially on the regional and global scene when it comes to security. There's a lot more to do with it, but I think they've done a great job in terms of maintaining peace in other regions. Somalia, if you look at the bits they're playing in Sudan, if we look at how they've been engaging with the UN, African Union, sending troops to keep peace and order, we will give them that. There's still a lot to do, though, on that scene. There's still a lot to do. So we'll give them credit for that. They've done a great job.
But he adds that you can go to Gulu or Karamoja, Tororo, wherever, make your call, even speak in your language, and no one will
I
even
think like you earlier said, we are sitting on a time bomb. We're sitting on a time bomb. Because there are things people are doing simply because I don't even think we are peaceful per se with each other. It's just we try to tolerate, but we know the minute something sparks us off like this, if someone throws there that little matchbox, we are not sure what is going to happen.
No, he has a guarantee. He said...
Well, what's that guarantee?
Maybe he will mention, but he said he has guarantee that even after President Museveni's reign, there's going
What's
to be...
that guarantee?
No, he will tell us maybe.
I think we're sitting on a time bomb. We're sitting on a time bomb.
Okay. So, which are some other sectors now? Infrastructure?
Infrastructure, again, we're talking about...
Healthcare?
Healthcare, you people. How are mothers still giving birth on verandas of referral hospitals? And you're talking about gains. You have no medicine. The quality of some of these health centers you're putting up barely have anything in there. What is infrastructure? What is infrastructure?
Progress in waiting. First have a structure,
40
put
years.
doctors there, then get medicine later.
40 years. 40 years. Other presidents were there 5 years, 10. They achieved the bit, so they also talk about achievements. We are looking at 40 years of rule. So if we're saying they are regressing, they are regressing.
But you see, Mpambara, when you listen carefully to the president, he will also say that, of course not you, but people like you out there disturbed him. That he has had more than 20 or so rebellions, armed rebellions. Therefore, even when you want to hold him so accountable, and you have also to remember that he has been fighting the LRA, West Nile Front Bank, has been fighting as many. So it would be ideal enough for you to sympathize with this gentleman and say, despite all these saboteurs, this is how far we have moved.
So the rebellions are the excuses for underperforming?
It's a record. Why would
he's busy.
How would one...
so the excuse is that he's busy?
He has... The radical opposition made him busy to fight and stabilize the country. Begin with northern Uganda, LRA, for instance.
Is that the reason for
ADF.
corruption?
So for
is
some
it
reason,
the reason for poor education? Is it the reason for poor service delivery? What exactly is that excuse? You were talking about the national debt here. How much does each Ugandan owe the government?
2.5 now.
2.5. Where did it come from?
He said, Awich said, even the most indebted country is US. For some reason, you can hardly move minus debts. It's normal, it's the way to go. Governments also run with debts. And he mentioned that what would worry is what that money is used for. Most likely he's convinced with what such monies are spent on, unless he has a different opinion on whether or not such borrowed money is put to purpose.
First of all, our nature of negotiation cannot be compared to the US. Because when the IMF and the World Bank comes and sits on your head and they start giving you those terms and conditions for paying back, what happens to Uganda? Poor service delivery, because now you're trying to service the national debt. So you can no longer deliver in terms of service delivery. You cannot cater to hospitals, you can't cater to roads, you can't cater to... But the US will still build its roads and they'll be ready in less than a year. Uganda will take 4 years to build 20 kilometers of road. Am I lying?
Not about which.
So can we still compare ourselves to the US? We cannot compare ourselves to them because our nature of bargaining power is not the same. It's not the same.
Okay, I want to cross to Honorable Awich. You mentioned specific questions, and I will, of course, rely on the very questions that you did mention. And you highlighted that NRM, back in the NRA and later NRM had a very wonderful agenda. Honorable Awich, where did you lose the agenda?
It is not lost.
You still have it?
We still have it. Well, by 1986, on the assumption to power, if you count that is NRM, because some people argue that, and it is argued by convenient people, that when there's something good in the past, they said that was not NRM.
That was NRA.
The current NRM was not.
Yeah, NRM.
Now, if they want us to share the bad, like the 40 years.
They push you back and say the whole movement.
Like the 40 years, the longevity on power, they say it is NRM. So you don't know what point NRM starts.
When they want to praise you for good work, they say between 1986 and when you were NRA, you did good work. When they want to critique you, they push. They also add the other years.
Yeah, that is. So it is relative and circumstantial, but we are used to it. So on the
you didn't lose the agenda.
So on the assumption of power, that's a legal notice number one of 1986. The promise, although Yvonne says that President Museveni said we shall be flowing, Uganda will be flowing into milk, honey and all that.
Fundamental change.
I don't think he said that. The statement that Museveni said was that this is not a change of guards. This is a fundamental change.
Do you mind adding where he said that one of Africa's biggest problem are leaders who overstay in power?
Overstay in power.
That's how you will have made a very complete speech.
The issue here is the promise made. So now,
the fundamental change.
The fundamental change has been achieved and continues. As we all know, we live in an interconnected world and a moving one. It is not interconnected and frozen. It is interconnected and moving. And that is the essence of dialectical materialism. Therefore, the promise of the fundamental change, even if you solve a problem now, it creates a new challenge. For example, if we now created the problem of industrialization and we have factories everywhere, we create a problem of pollution.
For instance.
If we create a problem, we solve a problem of taking children to school, to UPE, to USE, to university, and
create crowded schools.
A problem of unemployment. Therefore, it is not possible to say you came with this promise and you have solved them. That would mean the society is static, and that mechanical thinking was destroyed when electrical engineering came up. Because at the time of mechanical engineering, which was the first engineering in the 19th century in Europe, there was such argument like either this or that. But now you can have both, not either. So that was an argument which was predominant at a time when our consciousness was only thinking of mechanical engineering, where people believe for every cause there must be a cause and the effect. Therefore, it is not possible to say we had come with 10-point program and therefore after 10-point program and that is all. No. Or to choose whether we have deviated from the 10-point program or not. Because we all know for a fact, like you have been mentioning IMF, we all knew for a fact that that was the ideal that we wanted. But when you come to state power, you get forces that act against you, like IMF, World Bank. Then you have to forge flexibility to accommodate them, but not to lose your eye from the ball. And that's what we have been doing. You accept the IMF, the World Bank with their conditionalities to achieve what you want, but keep your eye on the ball. So that in future, you know that should oil start working, we would disengage slowly from IMF, World Bank, because we can fund our activities.
Do you think, in
So
your
that
view,
is it.
Honorable Awich, in a second, do you think you have the will to, even after we have gotten the oil money for NRM to pay such debts, especially where the corruption gap hasn't been dealt with?
The will is huge.
What's
The
that?
will is huge.
But what brings about this will? Because it's like the public doesn't feel the will, to be honest with you. Because I want to highlight some specifics. That some time ago you were in Kololo, I mean you as a party, and Honorable Betty Kamia talked about the corrupt. But sarcastically, the president at some point, he mentioned, so as long as these people, they are stealing and they are investing here, you will scare away these people. Does that represent the will to fight corruption?
The president's statement should be taken in context. The president was saying, if you start now auditing
Lifestyle audit.
Lifestyle audit simply means you are paid this much of money,
You have this much.
but you have this Mercedes-Benz and Land Cruisers and all that. Okay? First of all, it would be difficult under the criminal law principles that you just look at me by your eyes
and you suspect that, no.
that I've committed a crime. But also, the president was being pragmatic and saying, if you audit this lifestyle, these people will run with the money.
So he
and
also
take
knows
the
that
money.
they have
Yes,
dubious
yes.
deals, but they will run away.
Yes, but meaning the president was saying, give me time. There's a way I want to deal with it, so that at that time when I get them, they can't run away with it.
Has he?
It was
How
not
long?
like he's saying a perpetual way of saying, never under the sun will you touch them. It was just talking
Asking for time.
tactics vis-a-vis the strategy.
But you see,
That the strategy is a long strategy, but the tactics inside there, for example, is we are not auditing them now.
Honorable Awich,
Okay? We are not auditing them now, and that is a tactic. But the final strategy is we shall get them anyhow.
on that very point, where your government has had interest in dealing with something, they have woken up in the morning, he has sanctioned the NRM caucus, he has gone ahead to ensure that if there is a need for the amendment of any law, it cannot even take a month. In the event that you mention that in criminal procedure, you may not look at someone and say, Yvonne came with one vehicle, she now has 3. But if that calls for the law, for the amendment in law, and there is will, don't you think you should have amended or made new laws to ensure, if you are intentional, to ensure that there are strict laws, rather than saying, give me time? Because who knows, by the time that time comes, maybe all the corrupt will have died. Where do you leave the country when they have died and left all of this that they looted to their family members? It goes back to the will.
The will is now, you're talking of legislation. There are some laws, of course, which you want to legislate against the principles of law. For example, you're not going to legislate. Obote tried but it couldn't work. Obote passed a law called Preventive Detention Act. Preventive Detention Act was that if you look at him and suspect
he's about to commit a crime,
you arrest him.
But you applied the very law on WSJ back in the day.
Not only do you arrest him,
you can keep him on his own.
but don't even charge him.
You have done that, Honorable Awich, and there are cases on
So, well, the point here is, do you want government to pass that kind of law?
Every Ugandan would say yes. In regard to the corrupt.
Then send your members, tell your members of parliament.
You've only mentioned that you seem to have lost touch with the reality. Are you in touch? Because we want to connect all these things in line with the gains. Are you in touch as leaders with the ground and
we
reality?
are very much in touch because we are the ones who designed the manifesto. And we take the manifesto to the people, and people vote us. When people vote us, we have signed a social contract with the people. And the implementation of this manifesto goes down. First of all, the manifesto making is bottom top. We consult the bottom to go up. That shows we're in touch with the people. Two, this very party which is making a manifesto and marketing to the people is a party which has up to the grassroots branch. Our lowest unit is called a branch. And that is why when we are going to conduct party elections, we have more polling stations than Biabakama. The election polling stations
from LC1.
Yeah, from LC1. So we are in touch because we have our people up to LC1. And we consult them and we talk to them.
Do you consider these people being a part of you genuinely, or rather for the friends with the benefits, or these are supporters with the benefits?
It is genuine. NRM was born out of those structures even during the war. Even in war, those structures existed. So it can't be us now that we use those structures in the war. And now when there's peace, we don't use those structures. No way. It is our structure. We love it, it works, and it keeps us down to the people. I don't think any of these parties have such structures. They have up to maybe sub-county. Finished, UPC.
Maybe because they have been made financially unstable, and therefore they may not be in position. Because as we even speak, your biggest contender here, Honorable Chagulanyi, was mentioning on how you have closed and blocked the iPod money. How do you expect such a person with his party to also reach far? But
iPod money came out. My iPod money is
You didn't give him money. You know you didn't give him money.
No, after signing the
he will get.
I think, yeah.
Is he about to get?
Yeah.
We shall have you next Monday by God's grace, and maybe highlight on whether or not you will have received the money.
I will confirm.
And confirm. Finally, I think from if I could ask you, you use like 2 minutes, is to ask about these numbers, and it's in line with your party structures. Are these genuine numbers, or you have AI and artificial, you have GMOs?
Like that picture they posted.
Yeah,
on
you
Twitter.
have so many. Yeah, we have seen people in yellow and
No man.
some claiming to have crossed from Noop and.
No man and Yvonne.
They are happy with the
Go
gains.
and tell your people at home that today I was with Awich, and Awich assured us these numbers are real.
Not GMOs.
Because I have repeatedly said, Yvonne, that the Election Commission gives the presidential candidates a district. A district. You appear in a district once. Now, our presidential flag bearer went to Luero to launch, but his timetable is showing he will come back to Luero. Now, the first campaign started in my hands. I am a zone, Lao zone. I go to a Molata a day before. I make sure I send the public address system in the villages, because now I'm tasked to bring the entire district in one place to listen.
So you had to ferry.
Now, I do that. I also go on the radio, thanks to NRM. Nearly every district has a radio. I go on the radio, I talk myself silly. I mobilize. The following morning, people come in big numbers. I'm told that some people were saying that we are even giving them 10,000 per show.
What
Zero.
What is
People just drink water, nothing.
Honorable Awich, with due honesty, you, I don't know whether yourself or even your colleagues, you mean to say that those people use their transport and come to your rallies just because, of course, like your campaign theme states, because they are happy with the gains and therefore willing to protect them? You haven't facilitated them with those rallies we see that ferry people?
No, with transport, I've already told you, if the presidential candidate is given a district, the ingenuity of the party to raise people is your business. If you have an airplane, you put it for them. Okay. If you have a helicopter, you put them. The point is, your candidate is in Agago district
with numbers,
and you want people to listen in Agago. He's not going to another sub-county. He's not going to another parish. He's just here for once. So we use our means to bring. If we use the lorries, it would be bad if we pulled people from their houses by gun, or if we had bought them from their houses to board the lorries. But if we persuaded them and they are coming and this distance is long, and we as a party we have the resources, why don't we do
it? These two statements contradict one about which that in mere primaries people were given 2,000, and then you expect that at the higher level these people do it genuinely?
It is.
Okay.
That's why
your closing remarks and then across to Mpambara we live here.
That's why I'm telling you that go home and tell your people at home that I was with a witch who has been handling Lango. Yeah, sure, there's nothing.
So there was
given.
no money in Lango. Okay, maybe some other regions.
Given.
Your closing remarks call upon your, I don't know whether you have voters, supporters, or even your candidates, and then you close to Mpambara.
My closing remarks is from the topical issues today.
Protecting the gains.
Protecting the gains. Colleagues, fellow Ugandans, and I'm saying the gains are made, the country is won, a Karamanjong goes to Kavala, nobody cares. We are in Kampala here, we are nearly, I think all of us, 4 of us here, everybody is coming from his own tribe. What is yours? Another one.
Different
yours, all of us, 4 of us, imagine in a room of 4, everybody
already Uganda is represented.
All Ugandans. So who doesn't want that? Please vote NRM, vote Museveni, we maintain this gain.
Okay. You have heard Mpambara wake up on which date in Jan, go vote NRM and protect against. Yeah, closing remarks and then we shall leave here.
There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do, especially for the incoming president. I don't know what I'm going to say, because we feel we already know that it's going to be.
You see,
but
now that's their strength. Have you heard? She already knows who is the victor.
She knows. She has indication because she sees the turn up.
She sees the numbers.
She sees the turn up. She sees the
gains.
She meets people on the road.
She even sees the gains.
And people tell her we are voting NRM.
She even sees the gains.
Yes, she sees the gain.
There's a lot of work to do in the next 5 years to prove, and this is us looking at the fact that it's probably the last term Museveni is serving. There's a lot to prove that these gains they're talking about protecting will be improved, because, like I've said, they've regressed. They've regressed. The quality of public service delivery is poor. Our nature of governance is poor. Our rule of law, completely poor. Constitutionalism, I can't even go there. We know what they've done to the Constitution. We know what they've done to justice. There's a lot to improve. So honestly speaking, for whichever president is coming into power, which we all know is the incumbent, he has a lot of work to do. And Ugandans can't continue to bury their heads in the sand. They have to complain. They have to put out their challenges out there. And the best that these leaders can do is listen. They need to listen to Ugandans and act.
Okay.
We need to see change. We need to see something happening, something tangible is changing. Don't tell us you're thinking about lifestyle audit in the back on the law. We need to see it in action. We need to see systems that are working.
Okay. Our viewers, we can't thank you enough. And at 9, we won't amend our constitution here. At 9, we should be signing out. Catch you some other time.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.